Victor Wembanyama is an incredibly unique prospect. He's at least 7'3", barefoot, with an 8-foot wingspan, and the way he moves around the court sometimes doesn't even make sense. And he has scouts and fans wondering, what are the actual limits for someone with this supernatural build? Some of the highlights are absolutely jaw-dropping, but I think the place to start is with his defense, and specifically his rim protection. Wembanyama is almost like a goalkeeper protecting the basket, just looming over any shot on the inside. His block radius breaks my brain a little. He's a good 5 feet off the side of the ball here, but still reaches across to block it cleanly. On this play, he's on the edge of the lane as the shooter gathers and somehow gets to it on the other side of the hoop, and that's like an 8-foot range in a split second. This one's comical because he isn't even ready to jump and just helicopters his arms around and somehow swats it. The man barely has to leave his feet to get over 10 feet and makes a 6'10" center look like a kid shooting over his dad in the driveway. He's so big that he can leave his feet on an up fake and still fly swatted out of there, which means he can kind of bounce around and still be in position to put a lid on the basket. Count the jumps here: a big one off one leg, a second on the pass, then he's at the rim and jumps on another pass and still catches that hook easily. Plenty of players won't even try Wemby, so all the shots he doesn't block might have an even bigger impact. Here he's defending pick and roll, the ball handler doesn't want to shoot the jumper, then he slides down and discourages a second shot, and finally he turns around and gets this at the top of the square. I mean, come on. This one's against former NBA center Donatas Montaiunas, who's listed at 7 feet, and he doesn't even try Wemby after this offensive rebound. Then when he posts him up, realizes he has no chance, and finally says, maybe I'll take a 12-footer, and Vic almost blocks that too. Now, it's one thing to merely dominate in the paint like Rudy Gobert, and as you can see, he certainly has enough defensive awareness to reach that level in the NBA. But Wembanyama's really enticing because of his mobility, stretching to the perimeter and staying in front of ball handlers. This defensive range adds another dimension to his potential impact, where he can play out at the three-point line and bother shooters. When he's on the outside, he can turn his hips quickly and cover a ton of ground in just a few steps, and there's another second jump rejection. His range is actually a bit mind-bending because he'll jab at the ball 25 feet away, then take one step to snatch a pass near the basket. Like, this redefines the dimensions of the court, helping right under the rim, nearly falling, then 2 strides brings him back to the three-point line. So Wemby can play in multiple coverages, dropping back here but using his length to still reach the shot. He can switch when needed, nearly stealing it from former Spurs guard Nando De Colo here. And he can come to the level of the screen and recover as needed. He ends up on the wrong side of the pick and roll and still recovers to take away any shot. And it feels like he can take 2 steps from anywhere and get to the basket. He does this stuff on offense too, picking up his dribble just inside the three-point line, then he's laying it up at the front of the rim. This time he actually picks up the dribble at the three-point line, covers about 20 feet, and drops this one home. And here's one where he shows off the handle a little, gets to the free throw line, and takes 1 step into a short little leaner, and he actually had another step there if he wanted it. I'm pretty fascinated by Victor's giraffe strides because he doesn't even need to dribble on his layups once he's within 15 feet of the hoop. And he's still learning how to weaponize these loping long steps. On this drive, he picks it up when the right foot lands, which means he could use a second step in the NBA to make this a lot easier. Some of that might be officiating differences in Europe, but on a drive like this, he's a little off balance and awkwardly shoots off the wrong leg. Note the hand-eye skills though, dribbling through the legs to set up the cross, and then protecting the ball against the help defender, which actually throws off his steps. Part of this is just timing and speed that he'll pick up with experience. And as he grows, I wonder if we'll see giant Euro steps on some of his drives like this. Another big factor now is his strength and balance. He's a little wobbly at times, and I don't think he really needs to bulk up per se, but he can get pushed off his spots right now and stumble a little like this. I actually think he's pretty sturdy given just how tall he is, but he's not steamrolling through any contact right now on these moves. His lack of strength is actually a way to attack him defensively, powering into him and driving through the body of a shot blocker can take away their springiness, especially when you're this tall. To me, however, the larger strength questions are related to his penetration game and whether he can absorb contact and stay on his driving line. He'll have more space to work with in the NBA, so taking a bump and powering to the basket could raise his efficiency. Because as big as he is, it's not easy for him to generate lots of shots right now at the hoop, and more than 40% of his field goal attempts currently come from outside 15 feet. This is a huge inflection point for Wembanyama as an offensive player in today's NBA. How well will he actually shoot these skyscraping jumpers? He only made 29% of threes in the last 2 years, so on the surface he's a below average shooter who might take too many long ones. On the other hand, he shoots them with confidence, and some of these shots almost feel experimental in difficulty, so it's easy to imagine his percentage rising in the immediate future. He also shot 82% from the free throw line this season, which is usually an indicator that hand-eye coordination is strong, although we have seen someone like Anthony Davis hit like that from the line and never completely click as an outside shooter. Wemby's hands are also enormous, to the point that it looks like he's shooting a grapefruit off his 3 longest fingers, and wherever he lands as a shooter could make a huge difference in his offensive scoring volume and impact in the NBA. He's not really an explosive vertical athlete, so he plays the pick and pop game a ton, either taking a mid-range shot or floating to the three-point line, where he's very comfortable shooting on the move. Although, I do wonder how much that cramped spacing in his league limits his roll game. The other thing he can do in these situations is pass. I wouldn't call him a high-end passer right now. You can see he's late with this layup delivery in transition, and he's a touch late on this entry pass, and the delivery is a little off. But he already sees passes like this, and I think it's a great sign he's trying to wedge it into tight windows, or even getting creative, using the look away here to slip a one-hand pass on the baseline, but it's a bit too fancy. He's certainly a willing and capable passer, which is a great indicator, and his height gives him angles to see over the top that makes passing easier. There's already a cerebral component, looking to the corner while in the air, reading the defense and dropping it into the opening. And on this play, he's rolling to the basket, spots the help, and flips it behind the back. And then on the very next possession, he looks for the same thing again, reads the defender, and hits the corner instead. Lovely stuff. Add it all up, and we're talking about a player with clear Defensive Player of the Year potential at a young age, who also has some offensive chops to become a legitimate problem on that side of the ball. And he's already really good. There are tons of former NBA players in the French league, and Vic's team was about 9 points better per 100 with him on the court this season. He's so unique, and the game has changed so much that it's hard to say what he'll look like at 25. But I think it's pretty clear why so many scouts and executives view Victor Wembanyama as one of the best prospects to ever come into the NBA. You can get Thinking Basketball content in the NBA app throughout the season, and if you want more right now, check out the Thinking Basketball channel on YouTube.